Hello everyone and welcome back to the Unreal Engine C++ training series. I actually can't believe it's already been a week, but here we are again, and as you might be able to tell, I haven't changed a whole lot from the last tutorial that we did. So last tutorial we went over overlap events and created a situation where we can walk up to and pick up this gun and to fire it. Now what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to scale this up. So like maybe we've got a rifle, a pistol, and a shotgun, right? And we want to be able to pick them up and shoot them at will. And that's what we're working on today. So the only thing that has really changed since the last time that we saw each other was I actually created another weapon. And this other weapon has the same source code as the original weapon. Actually, I probably could have created some sort of hierarchy using inheritance, but that's not what I did here. You might want to do that, have a weapon class and then have your pistol derived from that, have your rifle derived from that. But for the sake of the purposes of this tutorial, that's not what we're going to do today. Today we're going to talk about how to achieve this using UENUM. And UENUM is basically just the Unreal wrapper that goes around the enum class. And the enum class is going to be a really easy way for us to associate real values to things that we actually use and can think about easily. Without further ado, let's get into the code, because what I just said made no sense at all. Okay, so we're back into the tutorial character CPP file. I'm going to go ahead and open the header file too, just to get that open. I'm going to include, well, if I can type, include another weapon. I'm just going to include that other weapon. If you didn't see, that other weapon just has the yellow sphere as its static mesh, just because I'm lazy. I don't want to find other static meshes that I can go ahead and use and pick up and change the animations. You know, we're here to program. Alright, so I've included another weapon. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to come into the tutorial character header file and I'm going to create my UENUM. I'm going to go ahead and do it right above the class UInput component declaration right here. And just so you know, I believe it was a few weeks back when we edited the header file. You can already see it. Unreal Engine and IntelliSense hate it when you start messing with the header file in any meaningful way. So we are going to be seeing error messages everywhere. But don't worry, we're not messing anything up yet anyways. Yeah, all of this, error messages everywhere. But don't worry, our code is still correct. So we're going to go ahead and use the UENUM flag, or macro rather. Looks just like the uClass macro, and it looks just like the uProperty and uFunction ones as well. You could go ahead and make inside of the parameters here, give it the parameter of blueprint type, and this would actually make this available to use inside of blueprints, but we're not gonna do that for now, just because we don't need to. I'm gonna come back here, and now we're gonna use from here on out, it's basically all just regular C++, and I'm gonna say enum class ActiveWeapon, And this is an enum class with the name of ActiveWeapon. And it's going to use uint8s. So basically, what you'll see in some demonstrations, some people will use enum without the class specifier there. That's actually really old C++, and enum class is a bit more safe because we have a bit of local scope. For more reading, I'll put that in the link in the description down below. But basically, we have this new data type that we've defined called ActiveWeapon. I put the E in front of there just because that's a nice, easy way for Unreal to know that this is an enum. Otherwise, Unreal tends to get a little annoyed with us. Now, what is an enum? Like I already tried to explain it once before, and I'll show you right here. So an enum is basically a way for us to give some integer a very user-friendly, programmer-friendly value. So what we have is we have uint8, which basically means that everything in this enum class will span from the range of, what is it, 0 to 2, or I'm sorry, to 512 or 513. It's around there. So we've got a fair bit of values here to work with. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right, I think. Whatever. We have quite a bit of values, right? And basically what we're going to do is we're going to use words like we would strings, but they're actually going to be implicitly converted into these uint8 values. So we want to say what our active weapon is. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that our BP weapon right here, or our weapon, is a rifle, and our other weapon is a pistol. Just like in, Call of Duty, you've got your primary and your secondary. So if we don't have any weapons, we want to think about all of the states that we could possibly have for our active weapons. So we say active weapon, we start the game off with none, right? So we have none is a possible state. The rifle could be a possible state, and the pistol could be a possible state. Now, since this is just like a regular variable, right, this can only have one value at a time. You can't have your rifle and your pistol active at the same time. You can have them equipped at the same time, and you can use pointers for that. But the active weapon is going to be, it can only be one at a time. So right now we've got none, we've got rifle, and we've got pistol. Now that we have this, how do we use it? Well, we can use it just like any other data type. So I'm going to come down, and we're going to get rid of bool, beacon, fire, because we're not going to be using that anymore. So we're just going to say ActiveWeapon, and I'm going to call it active weapon. That's actually a nice thing about the naming convention that they have in Unreal, that you can say ActiveWeapon and then still use active weapon, and you still know what you're talking about without having to create an entirely new and different naming convention for it. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and replace all of the instances of beacon fire with some form of our enum, right? So we have on pickup, and what I should be looking for is somewhere in our begin play. Yep, begin play, we have beacon fire is set to false, when that's actually not what we want here, right? We want it to be something along the lines of our active weapon is none. We don't have one. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to say active weapon is equal to, and this is the scope that I was talking about before. With just a regular enum, we wouldn't have to add this active weapon part. But since we do have an enum class, we're going to go ahead and use the : operator like we would any other time we're accessing something scoped, and we're going to set that to none. Now we're going to go back and say that if other actor is a weapon, then we're going to set our active weapon equal to ActiveWeapon : rifle. Yep. So if we pick up a weapon, then set active weapon equal to rifle. This is all pretty easy, right? Go ahead and replace this. What I'm going to replace this with is going to look a little verbose, but it'll work for us. So if active weapon is equal to, remember we use the double equals for this type of operation. See, ActiveWeapon : rifle. If ActiveWeapon is equal to : rifle, let's go ahead and compile that. I hope I didn't make any mistakes. If we're able to compile this, then hopefully what we should be able to do is we should be able to do the same exact thing that we've been doing. Oh, wait a minute. I've got one left. Nope, on pickup. No, I already did that. Okay. Hopefully this code compiles, and when it does, we should be able to go back and it'll work just like it did before. When we pick up, oh, we haven't picked it up yet. We can't fire. We've picked it up, and we're firing. All right, so everything's working so far. Basically, all we've done is we replaced the old code with the enum code, but we haven't added this other thing, this other weapon yet. That's what we're going to do now. And basically, we're going to come back to that pickup function. Where'd it go? Found it. That was Control F, by the way. I hit Control F and it's a find feature. Really easy, really good to use. Excuse me. So basically, all we're going to do is we're going to add another if statement. So else if our other actor, you know what? I'm just going to copy this because I'm lazy. A other weapon, or another weapon is what I called it, right? If another weapon is picked up, then we're going to go ahead and do all of this too. Except we're going to change this. We're going to say that ActiveWeapon is equal to pistol. And just to make sure that we know that we've picked up the pistol and not the rifle, is, let's say, FP gun. And I'll add some sort of offset to this. How shall I offset it? IntelliSense is no help. Let's say relative location, or relative rotation. Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees on the z-axis so it faces the other direction. How about that? 0f, 0f, and 180 point f. Point. All right, let's see if that works. Let's say, so a tutorial on pickup. If other actor is a weapon, then pick it up and set it to rifle. Else if, we'll pick it up, rotate the gun 180 degrees just because I don't feel like coming up with another mesh to put there, and set the active weapon to pistol and destroy the gun. Destroy the pickup, that is. Come on, compile. Compile, you can do it. There we go, compile complete. And play. And I'm going to run and pick this up. And, well, there's definitely something that changed. Let's see if I fire and turn around, then there should be bullets behind me. Oh. Not seeing bullets. They're not being spawned. That's the problem that we're having. Okay. We're picking something up, but what we can do is we can go ahead and just write something out to the debug log, right? So we've got UE log, category name, log temp. This is going to be a warning. And text, it's going to say you picked up the pistol. Oh, you know what? The reason we weren't able to get that gun to fire anything is because if we look into our onFire function, we're only checking to see if active weapon is equal to the rifle. So what we can do is we can say if active weapon is equal to rifle or active weapon is equal to eActive weapon : pistol, or in this case, since we only have two gun types, we can say if active weapon is not equal to eActive weapon none, then fire. And excuse me, because I've failed to mention that the main reason that we want to do this is because, as we can see, none is set to 0, rifle is set to 1, and pistol is equal to 2. What we can also do is I can say rifle equals 89, right? And hopefully it'll let me do that. Yep, rifle is equal to 89, and what it'll do is then it'll increment from there, 90. But none is still going to be set to 0. So basically what we're doing when we do something like this is we're saying if active weapon is not equal to 0, but what this does is instead of giving us some sort of arbitrary value, we are asking for it to see if this is actually set to none, which is a much easier way to go about handling things, and it's very efficient because it's not like we're comparing strings, which is a very slow process. We're actually just comparing integers. In most cases, you can actually just perform a static cast to an int32, right, of this, and it'll be fine. So if 0, see, now this line will work because we can actually implicitly cast this to be read as 0, or not implicit. This is an explicit cast, but we can cast this value to become 0. But that's not what we're gonna do. All right. So if active weapon is not equal to none, then we'll be able to fire the gun. Compiling. Should be almost done. Oh yeah, there we go. Now when I hit play, I'm gonna run up and pick up the pistol, our pistol, and it's actually firing bullets. Very oddly, but it's doing it. So it looks like we've got our pistol. Now when I go over and pick up the rifle, Oh, I didn't re-offset the rifle, so I'm gonna come back and on pickup. Where are you? There you are. So FP gun relative rotation. Copy that code. So now it should come back a full 360. Even though this code isn't the best because it'll rotate it back in place only if we pick up this gun first. This is just for testing purposes, guys. In a real game, what you'd want to have is you'd have different animations for different weapons and stuff like that. So I'm going to come back and pick this guy up. That's fine. And then pick this guy up. And that didn't work. Relative rotation is 0. Try it one more time. Because this is relative rotation, we are not adding an absolute rotation. I should have known that. Compiling, yeah. And when you're playing around with values, almost like for just about anything, if it's a value that you're going to be tweaking often, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make those values U properties and make them editable inside of the editor. That way, when you recompile blueprints, it is so much faster than recompiling C++ code. Like it is crazy fast compared to C++. And it makes iteration times extremely fast as well. Makes you more productive. Yay! And when we pick up the gun returns back to normal. Now, there is an inherent flaw with this system. Well, there are a few, but the biggest one right here is that if I were to place another weapon or another gun in here, right? When I pick up the first gun, I can't switch back to the second one. I can't go back to the pistol that I picked up beforehand unless I pick up another pistol. And that is what we're going to be fixing in the next tutorial. We're going to be adding the ability to switch between guns at will, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be good. So then I'll see you then. But until then, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can go ahead and hit me up in the comment section down below, or you can tweet at me. Both of those are extremely valid options. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But until then, I'll see you next time.